Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
What up?
What up? What up? Auto dealer land.
Land?
Auto dealer land, yeah.
Auto dealer land.
It's now
we are
Auto
no
Dealer
longer
Land.
Auto Dealer Live.
We are Auto Dealer Live. I'm saying hello to Auto Dealer Land.
What's up, Auto Dealer Land? This is Auto Dealer Live, and we are excited to bring you the show where dealers go. Can you sell cars over social media is what we're going to be discussing today. And man, do we have an all-star cast, Dave. Man, do we have an all-star cast today. Are you fired up and excited about that?
I am. We've got some social selling superstars along with a few others that'll be joining us that we'll hear from today.
Yeah, stay tuned. You don't want to go anywhere because we're going to be discussing, can you sell cars? We're not going to be discussing just social media and digital marketing and, hey, let's talk about Twitter and Facebook and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to be this is not like this is not the friendly side of the discussion. This is, can you sell cars using social media? Can you sell cars over social media? And that's the argument. We have an outstanding group of people coming on, and they're going to be discussing not only can you, but some have examples. We have one guest that said, "Hey, I've sold 3 cars over Facebook in the last week." So I'm anxious to hear what these people say and hear the not only can you, but hear the case studies and examples of how they are doing it. I know dealers are listening. We have a lot of audience for the show today because you want to find out, can this be done and can it be done effectively? And we have someone on the show today that says, hey, you know what? I think that it needs to be limited to the dealership level because a lot of my people, this person said, get on and they just spend a lot of personal time on social media. So it's a great topic.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't think it's so much can you sell a car over social media because we have examples of people that are doing that. It's, how much time do you dedicate? Which resources are you spending your time in? And how are you using them? And are they effective? And is it really worth it? I mean, is someone who's spending, 3 or 4 hours on social media, maybe at the car dealership, while someone else is walking out, taking some ups and selling cars, there's a trade-off there, a balance that we have to figure out. So
yeah, and you know what? When I think of the road to the sale, we talk a lot about the road to the sale, and I'm anxious to hear what our guests have to say about this. It's not just like, hey man, can you reach out to people on Facebook and Twitter and through social media streams? I mean, obviously the answer to that is yes. Okay, we're not questioning are there people on social media? Last time I checked, Dave, people drive cars.
Oh yes.
Okay, so people drive cars. Are there people on social media? Of course.
100%.
Okay, so that's not the question, but I'm anxious to hear people talk about this. This is the question that comes up a lot through all of the inquiries that we've received from dealerships wanting to know more about this topic. The question is not are there people there, but how can you deliver a car there? And here's when we talk about road to the sale, Dave. I'm anxious to hear the perspective of our guest. The road to the sale, it begins, it ends at a deal, and there's a period of that road that may look similar across the board, but it begins where? Did it begin at a phone call? Did it begin at an up walking in the door? Did it begin, through a piece of advertisement, whether it's a mail or a newspaper, commercial, internet? Did it begin through an internet department, which maybe began through a chat or a response to a Facebook post or whatever, but I think where the road to the sale begins, and that's really what we're talking about here. How do you transition? Our listeners want to know, how is a person off of social media transitioned because they can't drive the car on the computer, right? They have to come
Right.
into the dealership. So how is it done? And I'm anxious to hear what our guests have to say about that.
Yeah, because hopefully we'll hear some practices where people have been successful. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, you can post, you can put 1 million posts out there, and people can engage and respond. But how do you transition? How do you transition that communication into a deal on your lot in a delivery?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, next week, man, I got to talk a little bit about next week. We're going to officially start promoting next week's show right now, and then you're going to officially begin to see visual promotions for next week's show tomorrow. Why are we starting tomorrow? Okay. Why are we announcing it and making a big deal about it now? It's keep it or crush it. That's the question. You want to know who we've got. Look, you want to know who we've got confirmed right now on the show. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for this? We've got the #1 certified pre-owned dealer in the United States of America, Rick Reichert, on the show. Keep it or crush it next week.
Come on now.
We have his corporate trainer, Herb Prannell, on the show with us next week. We have the Vice President and GM of Lasco Ford, Matt Lasco, the #8 certified Ford pre-owned dealer in the country, the #49th certified pre-owned dealer, certified pre-owned dealer in the country, Matt Lasco, on the show. We have the #1 Honda store in the west coast of Florida, the top 40 in the country, John Marazzi. We have the #1 trainer, one of the top trainers, Dave, I think you are.
Yeah, he's #2 actually. But
Number-
go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
we have the #1 whatever it takes 10X rule trainer Grant Cardone on the show next week. This is all on the same panel, by the way. There's two. We have Tony Remus. Tony Remus runs the Red McCombs Automotive Group. He is one of the partners of Fraser Capital, McCombs and Fraser Capital, and Tony's going to be on the show next week. There are two people that I dare not mention. One of them has the #1 dealership in the world within a certain make, and I'll be confirming him tomorrow. I'm 90% there. I won't mention his name. On the same panel. And
That's
one
huge.
of the
That's huge.
a dealer that owns 10 stores that did $1 billion in business last year. Okay, that's keep it or crush it. Do you want to hear what they have to say next week?
Oh, I want to hear.
Keep it or crush it.
Keep it or crush it. Yeah, we're gonna.
You'd be
talk.
surprised, by the way, the #1 dealer, the #1 of this particular make, some of the practices they're doing it. The #1, I'm talking the #1 in the world in this make, some of the practices they're doing, there's going to be people on the panel that if they were asked the question, keep it or crush it, they'd say crush it. But this guy's #1 using it, and he says keep it. I'm telling you, it's going to be an outstanding show. You do not want to miss next week.
Yeah, that's going to be huge because not only are we going to be talking about practices across the board in the car business, but you're hearing from the people that typically everyone is looking toward for answers, and we're gonna put every topic in front of them and ask them, hey, should this stay? Should this go?
Absolutely.
And we'll hear the answers.
Absolutely. And not only that, the personalities, the content's going to be incredible. The fact that each of these in their own respective rights are #1 at something. They're #1. They're in the top 10. They're in the top 5. I mean, they're major hammers and players. So not only will you obviously get great content and proven success best practices, but the personalities are very entertaining. They're very real. And they're not afraid to share their opinions. So you're going to get a lot of diverse opinion. It's going to be extremely entertaining. I can't wait for Keep It or Crush It.
Be awesome.
I think I'm going to keep that show.
Yeah, keep
not
it.
crush it.
Yeah, keep it.
What's up, man?
Hey, man.
I think I'm going to keep my wife, not crush it. I think I'm going to keep my kids, not crush it, right? That's a
Pretty good idea.
Yeah, what are you going to keep?
I think.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I beat you there. You can't get points with your wife now. I already said it. What
Okay.
are you going to keep, man? Quick.
I'm gonna keep my Harley.
Come on, baby.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
All right. I'll tell you what we're going to crush, man. We're going to crush this show. I tell you, we got some great guests on the show. You don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss this. Hey, Mike. Yep. I know you're gonna. I'm gonna throw a wrench into this thing, but I kind of like doing it this way. So I'm gonna reverse your order. Is that all right?
Fine with me.
Huh? Hey, listen. We're gonna jump this. Listen. Our sponsors mean a lot to us. We've added 3 sponsors starting in the month of August. They're behind me here, but we have some brand new commercials. Also, we updated a commercial for Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. Just take a couple of minutes here and check out these words from our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. The next up is the panel discussing, can you sell cars using social media? You do not want to miss what these people have to say. It's going to help you. We'll be right back.
He's trying to save the advertising world. He did it. He did it for your business. He is Pineapple Advertising.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
Smart cam.
Smack him.
What the Grandma? But wait, there's more.
No, I don't think you understand.
Oh, what the
Jason Rice from Lot Pop, and let me tell you what we do to help dealerships increase used car sales 20 to 30% in gross in volume. 3 areas we focus on: trend reports. We look at weekly trends that no one else is trending to make adjustments on our inventory. 2 is we do weekly review calls to review those trends, but also we dig through every car that needs to be price adjusted to increase the searches. And 3, we do a virtual lot walk, make sure every car is standing tall in line, and make sure we don't have bad photos like these. Check out our website, lotpop.com. our blog at automotiverevolution.com, and our weekly video tips at increaseturn.com. Thanks.
Moving on here, Dave, I wanted to read a question that came into the show. This comes from a dealer viewer that states they're at 1.67 hours per repair order in the customer paid labor in their service department, are in the bottom 50% in the nation with their survey scores, and continually struggle to get their customer retention above 40%. They want to know if we know of anyone they can contact to help them with this.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the viewer shouldn't feel bad because, Dave, half of the dealers are at those kind of numbers or lower. And the great news is there is a solution. It's Jeff Cowan at Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. Jeff is considered the creator of the modern day walk around and selling process in the service drive.
You're right. You know, Jeff is the best. The average Pro Talk customer is usually in the top 7% in the nation with survey scores, in the 80% range in customer retention, and in the 2.5 range in customer paid hours per repair order, including oil changes. That's why most consider Jeff the nation's authority when it comes to training service staffs everywhere.
Yeah, and Jeff's real easy to reach too. I mean, you can call Jeff today at 1-800-248-2931, or you can reach him through email at info@jcowensprotalk.com.
He's easy to reach and offers in-store, on-the-drive training, workshops, and virtual training as well. Call Jeff today.
Fall in love with your advertising and production. Pick the Pineapple.
All right, we're back, and again, thanks to our sponsors. Man, commercials are great. Make sure you check these guys out. Hey, without further ado, we are going to discuss, can you sell cars over social media? Dave, I'm ready to take the gloves off. How about you?
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
All right, without further ado, we have on the phone, the next up, the Selling Social panel or not, Melissa Granke. If I say this wrong, guys, apologize. We have Paul Moran. We have Chris Fritcher, Charles Cannon, Laura Madison, Patrick and Courtney Hennessy. And guys, we'll give you a chance at the end to tell us how dealers can find you and who you're with. Welcome to Auto Dealer Live. We're going to jump right into this, and I'm going to go ahead and poke the bear first. I'm going to ask Chris Fritcher. He just kind of has that bear face, like it looks like a bear sitting over there, kind of like, go ahead, piss me off. Look at him. Chris, I'm going to ask you, man, because I know a little bit about this based on some of
be the bad guy.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, you're the good guy or the bad guy. I don't know. You're some guy. I'm unbiased, really, here. I'm assuming that what you're going to say might rattle the cage a little bit of some of the Laura next to you. But the question, I guess, is, I mean, you're a social guy, but when I was reading really your stance, your beef is that a lot of salespeople on social media are really looking out for themselves. And it's kind of over the top where they're really wasting their time. And now let me give you a little background. You're selling dealerships. You're servicing dealerships for 3 years, but 10 years you worked with groups like AutoNation, and then most recently you were a marketing director for a 9-store group. So you know a little bit about what you're talking about when it comes to automotive marketing. Give us your opinion, then I'm going to let Laura smack it down or try.
Okay, well, I don't want her to smack me down, but. But no, my stance on it is quite simple. I mean, I don't have a problem with social selling. I think it has to be very controlled, because being a marketing director and being in charge of 9 stores in marketing, my biggest concern is what message are we pushing out to the consumer, and I want to be able to control that message to a certain point. The last thing I want is a salesperson going rogue and putting things out there. It does not put our dealership in a good light. So that's my biggest problem with it. Do I believe in it? I do definitely believe in it because people can move cars on it. I think there is a place for it, but I just think you have to be very careful and put it in a controlled environment. That's my stance.
Laura, can you be controlled?
No. Just kidding. No, I mean, I can't disagree. I think that's a fair point that you don't want people going rogue. But I'll never understand this tendency in the car business to try and over-control and micromanage. And some of these things that I think that have been going on probably for decades, long before I sold cars. But here's the solution. You know, rather than having somebody like me who had a website and my own YouTube channel, why don't we house that on the dealership? Like if you have a 9-store dealer group, have one, Laura Madison Automotive YouTube page, and all the salespeople, all of them kind of create their social efforts through that Facebook page and through that YouTube. We can still socially sell, but it can be a little bit more controlled if it has to. The other thing that I just want to point out again about, this tendency to over-control is Nordstrom, undoubtedly, undeniably large corporation. They don't have a handbook. When you get hired on, they have one rule, and it's to use your best judgment. So if we're setting a tone of autonomy and that we're expecting our salespeople to be reasonable, responsible individuals, I think their behavior will follow suit.
Chris, you got anything to add to rebuttal with that before we move on to someone else?
I just want to point out the fact is, so basically she does agree with me, it does need to be controlled because we said that we were going to put up a Facebook page that the dealership controls and then have everyone's content on. So, okay, so where do we disagree? I don't understand where we disagree.
Here, I'm saying, Chris, that's a solution to possibly your conundrum, and I think a fear that we've heard on this show before. I don't necessarily agree with it. I had a lot of success doing things my way, was a little bit more rogue, but I think there are solutions. Again, I don't think that it should ever. I don't think any kind of nervousness about how salespeople will behave should ever hamper an effort to really try and communicate on social media and sell cars that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think from a dealership standpoint, if I'm the owner of a dealership and I spent millions of dollars on inventory and everything else, then I should definitely be able to control the message I want out there. And so I understand the salesperson wants the ability to say and do whatever they want, but if I spent millions of dollars on a dealership, I am damn sure going to make sure I control the message.
I think that's important, but over control, I guess, is where I really take issue. I mean, we didn't have my dealership watching what I was doing, and I think as long as I was kind of politically correct, and when I talked about competitive comparisons, kept all of the content, very, very objective, rather than subjective. I think that a fair amount of distance and space and responsibility and autonomy led obviously to a really strong result. So I think we should start to really encourage our people rather than, again, just kind of exist in this doubtful space where we wonder, are they going to hurt a reputation?
Okay.
Well, I don't know why you would. See, my whole point is, why would you even put yourself out there where they have the ability to hurt your reputation? If I have 2 or 3 Laura Madisons on my sales staff, then I feel comfortable with Laura Madison putting out that message. But I'm not going to allow my sales team of 30 to go and put out a message without me overseeing it. You see what I'm saying? To me, that's where you start getting some gray areas. I have to monitor what our salespeople are saying on the sales floor sometimes, because sometimes they go rogue on the sales floor. Like, you have to correct them. The last thing I want is to be able to put something on social media or somewhere else and then have to take it off.
Yeah, I think
the
both.
reality is they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, I think both of you.
Real quick before you say
ahead,
that, Dave,
go ahead, Dave.
and we'll move on to let Dave move the question on. But just so you know, too, Laura's right. In one respect, she just said they're doing that anyway. But that was kind of how I started the question. I mean, it's being done, right? And they're doing it anyway. But Chris, your beef was that your beef was you believed in it, but your beef was that they're doing it possibly for their own gain or they're doing it irresponsibly. But they are doing it. Laura's right. They are doing it. So what we're discussing today, I mean, if you want to sell cars, I mean, here's one of the things I said in the beginning of the show, that, look, people are on social media and people drive cars. So we have to find a way, obviously, to reach them, however we can. But I guess this is turning into, because we have professionals on the show, it's turning into the best practices and best ways to, and also ways not to.
Yeah. And you guys both of you made great points. I want to ask Melissa Granke, alias Ohio Car
Who made
Girl,
the best point out of the two of them?
Who made the best point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had gosh, if we have to go there.
So you're not going to answer the question?
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question for Laura, as a matter of fact. I was going to move on, but now that you brought it up, I have a question for Laura. Laura, if we do bring this to the dealership's website, and I think this is something that dealers are looking for answers for, but if we bring this to the dealership website, how much real estate on a website do we give each salesperson? And typically isn't going to be unbalanced, because some people are going to want to do more socially on the site than others. So how do we make that work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of perplexed as to why we have to break it down this far, and no, that's certainly no offense to you, but think about somebody like, let's talk about just regular prospecting. Let's take social out of it for a minute. Wouldn't you say that the people that are putting more effort into their outbound calls, into prospecting, into network and chamber events, those people are going to get more real estate in your community. They're going to sell more cars. So why should this be any different? Anybody that puts extra effort out should have more real estate on the site.
Well, let me throw it to Courtney and Patrick, and I want to say it this way: Courtney, Patrick, you guys obviously, and I don't know what that noise is. I apologize. There's something coming from one of you guys on the phone, but the throwing it this way. I know, Patrick, you're on the Blacktop. Laura, I know you're with a finance organization. You guys are also host of a podcast, and I'll let you tell everybody about that exciting news shortly here. But throwing this out there, okay. Is this, based on what Laura said, you have people on the lot, on the Blacktop, non-socially, old school, right? Here are people in the traditional way, standing there at the point, whatever, waiting for ups. Now, Laura just pointed out that if somebody comes on the lot, right, the great ones, the professional ones are going to get them, right? The people that are hustlers are going to get them automatically. And typically, those that aren't won't make it, or they're lazy. But here's one thing about social I want to point out and let you guys comment on it. Lazy people can easily be social because it's lazy, right? I mean, come on, let's face it, guys. It is lazy. It's a lot easier to pick up your phone and get on social media. I have salespeople that if they're not careful, they'd rather email dealers that we call on or get on social media and reach out to them rather than call them. So I'll let you guys comment on that. It is easier to do. So people that suck, do you want them on social media?
Well, it's easy to do it in the wrong way. It's not easy to do it in the right way. There's a strategy and an art to how you approach it.
And who was that?
That was I think that was Melissa.
Oh, that was
right?
Melissa. I'm sorry.
Melissa.
Go ahead, Melissa. Finish that. Then I'll let Courtney and Patrick piggyback on your response. Go ahead.
You can go in and post ad after ad after ad after ad of car spam and car porn, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be effective. So I don't think it's necessarily the lazy person's ad. I think there's a strategy and an art form, and you really have to educate yourself on how to do it right. You know, I went through a lot of trial and error to figure out how to sell socially, and have only really gotten it off the ground in the last couple of months of figuring out, one, what kind of regular content to post on my page, but then two, how to do the targeted ads and what to promote and how to promote it in a way that it actually generates sales.
Courtney, Patrick, I'll let you guys comment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there has to be boundaries always, and I think that the more managers can get involved in the top shelf leadership to get involved to promote what we're trying to do or what we're trying to get our salespeople to do. I mean, any good salesperson out there, whether they're good or poor, the poor ones aren't going to perform, and the ones that you say that they suck, they're not going to exist, I don't think, anyway. So the bottom line is that my job as a salesperson, if I'm in that role, the A1 key thing I need to do is I need to make sure that everybody I know and everybody out in my social network or outside of that even knows what I do and where I work. And that's what the biggest thing of social media is these days. I mean, you can broadcast that way bigger than what you used to be able to, like 10, 12 years ago.
What is this?
Or you can look at it like how Melissa looked at it. Melissa looked at it, she's an information source nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's somewhere that people can go to do research and then have confidence, and she has credibility for them to reach out to her. So there's two real big points of why new people into the business, people that are just starting out, that don't have a big book of business, or that there are these sunsetters that are on the sales floor that can take advantage of a big book of business or are hungry to greet those ups that are walking in the door. I mean, this is a huge advantage to be able to work that angle.
Yeah, and
I think.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Sorry, I think it's a combination of the two, right? Like, it's not just all social media. You still have to be able to pick up the telephone and call somebody. But the combination of everything and, the intricacies of putting that together, that's what's going to make, the top performers top perform.
Correct. And the other piece of that is that it's become a way to communicate. I mean, we just had a conversation with a friend of ours. He sells Lamborghinis, and he was texting his customer, he was emailing his customer, he was phoning his customer, and he was not getting any return calls. So he ended up finding the guy on Facebook. Facebook messaged him, and boom, just like that, the guy was back in the game. So, we got to feel out how our customers want to communicate these days. If they're not phone people and they're not text people, what do you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a great point. You also have to think about the people that follow you on social media are people that like you or like your style, right? How easy is it to unfriend, ignore, block somebody? So, I'm an internet manager. I work internet customers exclusively. I don't take fresh ups. And the customers that come in, by and large, my closing ratio is through the roof because they came in to begin with because they liked my approach. They liked how I talked. They liked the information I gave them. They liked the way that I communicated and presented myself. It's the same thing with social media. If somebody doesn't like your style or how you're approaching something, they're not going to respond to you. So you're automatically going to filter out those people that are offended or bothered by what you're saying.
Thank you, Melissa. And Charles, I'm going to go to you. I see you on social media all of the time, and I know that you do a lot of video, a lot of instructional video for BMW buyers as you're at a BMW store. What does that look like for you? Has it really transitioned into lots of deals? Is it worth the time that you're spending on it? What are you seeing as results from that?
I would say absolutely yes. Initially, just like anything, when you're first starting off, you're like, man, I don't see anything. But all of a sudden, I started getting a lot of traction. I've had people email me from across the country just asking questions. And ultimately, I've gotten quite a few deals done where a customer says, hey, I saw you on YouTube. I was typing in looking for a particular vehicle, and your video popped up first, and I want to come in and buy. And they came in and bought, and it was easy. So it is a lot of effort, but it's definitely worth it because, frankly, probably 5% of salespeople are doing it right now. I think 10 years from now will be a lot more common, but right now it's definitely time to do it. It's kind of a way to go, sophisticated way, and also it helps you stand out from the competition, and you're doing it in a professional way without looking somebody else.
Absolutely, Charles, and you're doing a great job at that. Paul, I want to ask you a question based on what Charles just said. it made me think about something. This wasn't a planned question, so let me see if I can articulate it here. Charles, I heard Charles say, I don't know if you guys heard it or not. I read between the lines when I hear things sometimes, and I heard him say, I become somewhat of an expert, at BMW information, right? Yep. And so people across the nation are asking you questions. So you may very well not sell them a car, Charles, but doesn't it keep you sharp yourself? Doesn't it keep you sharp when all of a sudden, you're recognized as an expert in some capacity? It just makes you that sharp, much more of a sharp person. But here's my question. Then he said something at the end, and I was already thinking this. 5%, maybe 6% of salespeople are doing it properly. Well, Paul, what happens if everybody does it? Then, my question is, what happens if everyone does it? Does it lose its punch? That's a good question. Does talent or the ability to effectively do it, like a Laura Madison, like a Melissa, like a Charles, like a Patrick and Courtney, is the ability to be very good at it come into play? I'm serious. Joe Bob on the lot. Maybe he shouldn't work there, but unfortunately, there's thousands of them standing on the lot, right? Uh-huh. That guy trying to mimic what Laura does, and he didn't brush his hair. You know what I'm saying? He's got and his teeth are are yellow. I don't know. In other words, he just not there, man. Mm-hmm. But he puts a video out there. I think that's what Chris is talking about. Speak to a dealer that has that concern. Can everyone do it? Is it for everyone, or is it for someone who is more of an elite position and has the ability to articulate it? Talk about that, Paul.
Well, the thing I'm glad you brought up is that it can be done much more globally than what you're talking about. You're always going to have the guys that are really good at what they do, and they're really into it, and they're really into social, and they know how to communicate, and they know how to do these things. But it's a small percent of the people in the dealership. What the dealer can be looking at is how can you do this on a much broader scale so that we can get to, let's say we deliver 100 cars, we should be able to get 80% of those people to post something on their own networks for us. If you think of it from the dealer's communication to the customer instead of just the sales rep's communication to them, there are so many huge opportunities, and all of dealers, in my opinion, have been sold down this same road of we build a Facebook page and we post things there and people will see it. And I just disagree that that's the best way to do it from the dealership standpoint, not from a sales rep standpoint. I love the idea that they're trying to create content that will get people's attention, that they'll come visit their Facebook site. I like to equate it to the idea that, hey, there's this great new media out there called TV advertising. There's billions of people, and instead of running our commercials on the most popular programs, we went out and built a TV station, and we're trying to produce content that people will come look at. The key is to send them some content that they'll share for you, because I believe you can reach way beyond your own customers, way beyond the people contacting you through social media. And when I say social media, I think it's really blurred. If I send a text message to 8 of my friends in a group chat, is that social media? That's just how people communicate now. Everything is pictures and videos, and I believe you can put a process in a store where you can get every one of your customers to go put something on their own Facebook, their own posting, their own communication to their family and friends that promotes the dealership, and you can pick up those other 95% on a simple process that they'll never go and do the rest. It's a little bit self-serving. It's what Vibu says. We send that stuff out for dealers. But if you can get them any content that they will share for you, their network and their group will get you to new prospects that have never heard of you. And people no longer go to 3 or 4 dealers. They go to 1 or 2. And they're learning everything they can about your store before they ever walk in the door. And we want to front-load as much positive content out there as we can to those prospects. And I don't know if I got a little too far-faced there for you, but I think the dealership should be looking at how to use it in a way that's different than what they've been sold than just individual sales.
Well, Laura's about to jump through the middle Brady Bunch looking box. She's like the. Go ahead, Laura.
Well, the biggest thing that I just want to say is that something, Dave, that you just brushed up upon in kind of presenting that question to Paul is that social selling makes us better when we're showroom selling. I've got to get that right? Social selling improves showroom selling. I'm struggling. But you guys can check out Dealer Solutions. I talk about it. And this is something hopefully that Melissa and Charles would agree with. But when you start focusing on presenting value and creating videos, you absolutely get better. Your product knowledge gets better. Absolutely. It's going to translate to the fresh up that you take and the next demo that you go on and the next presentation that you present a vehicle with a customer. It's absolutely going to come through. And so I think that's really important, especially for some of these people that still might be skeptical about how effective is it. I've gotten emails from people all over the country that have said, hey, this is my first month. I'm starting social selling, and I'm also going to tell you that I sold 29 cars. That's not an uncommon message that I've received from people, again, who just with more focus and a little bit more ambition are immediately seeing results on the showroom.
Well, Melissa,
Absolutely agree with that.
Melissa, tell us,
I do 100%.
Melissa, a little bit about your secret sauce, because I know that you just recently, I think, sold 3 cars in 1 week off of Facebook. What's really working for you when it comes to social selling?
So I was able to actually take a list of our internet customers that were specifically looking for a certain vehicle that we have a special running on it, created a landing page to my personal website that's branded for Ohio Car Girl, and created a landing page with that offer on it and directed it to a targeted Facebook ad. I just did it really as an experiment because I had only done free, promotion on my page up to that point. I put $40 in a budget, ran it for a week and a half, and we sold 3 of them for $40. Where do you get that return on investment?
That's awesome. Now, Chris, are you going to be okay with Ohio Car Girl taking internet leads from the dealer and landing them on her personal page?
Probably not.
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, nobody at our dealership is doing it. I'm the only one doing it.
Well, see, and that's a unique situation. If she's the only person at the dealership that's doing it, and she took the initiative to do it, and as long as I have the ability to know what she's doing when she's doing it, and I kind of oversee the message, I'm not really all that concerned about it. She sounds responsible. She's selling cars off of it. My biggest concern is not everybody in the automotive business that sells cars is the most responsible. That's why there's such high turnover on your sales floor. I don't want Joe Schmo that's been to 5 different dealerships in the last 30 days selling cars to all of a sudden decide, you know what, I'm a social sell at this dealership. Absolutely not. Someone like her or Laura Madison or some of the other guys out there that do it, I'm absolutely okay with. Again, it's just about who.
Laura, let me throw this out there real quick.
Though.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Do you think that when people are enabled and empowered to use social tools, video, and all of these different platforms, that maybe they become more professional, they become more committed to the dealership? How hard is it to come in as a green pea, to have no customer base, to have no idea about the product, not know what you're doing? And if you get something like this where you get to be creative, you get to learn in the process, you get to have some small wins and successes, are you more committed then to the dealership? Are you more committed to the profession because you can see potential there? It's not just come in, argue with a customer and sell a car, but actually be a professional.
I'm not sure that.
I don't think one has to do with the other. To be honest with you, I don't think just because you just woke up one day and say, I'm going to start social selling, you become a professional. That doesn't happen. Do I think those tools help people? Yes, but do I think they make them more professional? No, I don't.
Patrick, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that I think that the thing that none of us really want to do when we're running stores is we try to do it, but we don't want to get involved with training our people. And I think it starts with training people how to use it right. And I think if you set those guidelines, and
I absolutely agree with that.
There's a lot of brilliant people out there that are doing it, which is what Courtney and I have been in contact with in the last 90 days. People that are, what we run into is we've got a couple brilliant people that work around us that a lot of times in a dealership, when they bring up these great ideas, for instance, I want to start my own website and create content for myself, and I have a blog offline. They say those words to some of the management team in some of these stores, and it's like on deaf ears. They have no idea what they're talking about. It gets squashed, and then it's gone. So it's like that's what we're not cultivating that growth.
I want to throw these statistics out real quick to you guys because we only have a few more minutes here, a couple more minutes, but I want to let you guys just kind of, because content, I'm hearing it. Chris, I think Chris is right with the respect that I understand, Melissa, what you're saying. You are a responsible person. It helps you. I don't think you assume, but maybe you're speaking from the standpoint that a lot of people are like you. They're not. I have irresponsible things in my timeline every day, right? But let's just look at these. You guys know these numbers, but okay, every minute of every day, you've probably seen this recently. Google receives 4 million searches every minute of every day. Facebook users share 2.4 plus million. I can't read this, too far away. Pieces of content. Okay, Twitter, 277,000 tweets every minute of the day. Instagram, 216,000 posts. I go down the line. YouTube, 72 hours of video. This is every minute. So here's the deal. Everyone's there. Okay, there's no question. My accountant, my CPA that works here, we joke with him. If he's off one day, YouTube calls to find out why the usage has gone down in our office. I mean, he's on YouTube nonstop. But the bottom line is, my question is, how do you get through the noise, right? How do you get through the noise? And that's a question I think dealers want to know. That's where I think, okay, let's say people are there. Are they going to buy a car there? Or are they there for entertainment? So that's another question, because I can tell you right now, man, when it comes to even TV commercials, I've got DVRs so that I don't have to watch them. You know what I'm saying? I fast forward it through it. I mean, unless it's a game, I'm not watching it live. So my thing is, or the debate tonight. But my thing is this, tell me, somebody, Charles, how do you get through the noise? You got all these people, and I just read half of them. I can go through the Vines and Skypes and Yelps and, in Amazon, everything. How do you do it, Charles?
I think it comes down to you being a professional and you find your niche, what works for you. And in my case, since I sell BMWs, I just focus on that. And I know that people who are doing searches for particular features on a BMW, I try to make sure that I do videos based on that. And it helps me stand out, every little bit as compared to, again, everybody else around me. Because I don't know the statistic nationwide, but I'm sure that everybody here at every dealership, it's probably a handful of people who are doing social media. And out of those, how many of them are doing it right? The level where they're getting business from it, not just, throwing information out there and hoping it works for them.
And this is Paul. From our perspective, it's a matter of who's the message coming from. And if we can get the customer to go out and be the proponent for us, get them to post, get them to share. If I get a message coming from a company, what impact does that have on me? But if my best friend sends me a message, I'm going to look at it. If my best friend is featured in it, the content includes something I'm interested in, then it breaks through, because that's what I look at. If I'm looking at Facebook, I'm looking at what my friends are posting, what they have to say, and not necessarily what businesses are doing. And it doesn't mean they're not. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. But it's a way to get to a much bigger audience if you can get the customer to go out and do it for you.
Laura, go ahead and give us your closing statement and share with dealers how to reach you.
Sure. I would say the biggest thing I just want to mention to that topic is that if we're creating value posts, and I don't want to speak on Melissa and Charles' behalf, but I think all three of us have the same idea. If we can position ourselves as an authority, and then somebody types in a keyword and our video pops up on YouTube, whether it's Charles explaining a feature or whether it's Melissa showing off a new trim level that Toyota's debuted, or whatever the topic is, if we can really provide valuable information, that's when we stop being commercial. That's when we start being listened to, and that's when we give people a reason to buy from us in particular. So I would say that's the strongest thing that you can do on social media to sell cars, and the overwhelming majority of people that are using Facebook or trying to socially sell haven't figured that out yet for whatever reason. So you guys can always find me at Laura Drives on Twitter or lauradrives.com, and I have tons of examples of what exactly works for me that anyone is welcome to kind of pilfer through and get a feel for this idea of sharing valuable content.
Thank you, Laura. Paul, will you give us your closing statement and tell dealers how to reach out to you?
Dealers can reach a lot of people. I mean, dealers still believe in branding. They're still doing television advertising and billboard advertising, and there is a way to do that same branding through social in a way to reach an audience that's big and widespread. I hear dealers talking about seeing dozens of, likes on something they posted, and it should be in the hundreds, it should be in the thousands. And, it's just a matter of process to get everybody in the store a simple way to be engaged, even if they're not experts at it, even if they don't understand it. And that's what we're trying to spread with the dealers we talk to. And you can reach us at vboost.com. I'm Paul at vboost.com.
Thank you, Paul.
B as in Victor, B as in boy, OOST.
Awesome, awesome.
Melissa? Thank you.
You can reach me on my website, ohiocargirl.com, or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or, of course, YouTube.
And the Cavaliers, do you like them or not?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure.
Come on, I'm a hometown girl. I root for all the Cleveland teams.
Would you guys have a
even
football
our
team? Do you have a football team in the NFL? I wasn't. Oh, okay, I didn't know. So, Melissa, give us your closing statement.
I think social selling is just another way to get your name out there and differentiate yourself. The same as business cards, the same as going out and prospecting the community groups. Now you have the ability to do it online. It humanizes you. It takes away some of the stigma of this profession, unfortunately, that we all sort of carry on our back. Gives you a chance to just be a person, connect with somebody, share some valuable information so that they ultimately come to you when they're in the market, like my friend from 6th grade who I haven't talked to since 6th grade, just messaged me on Facebook today and is coming in tomorrow to look at a truck.
Nice. Charles Cannon, sir.
Well, I have a website, charlesLCannon.com, and that's all my social media channels on there, and you can find all my stuff on there. And my closing statement would be, let's not be afraid of social selling. Let's look, from a dealership point of view, let's look for ways to have it embraced by people, and just come up with the basic formula of what you want done. You have parameters set as far as how you want, people to have content online, what they want to have content for, and if they have any doubts, filter it through, the proper authority. But it definitely works. It works for me. I'm a personal testament to it, and all I do is just put out this information. I never ask anybody to come by. I just put out information, and as a result, they come see me naturally. So that's all I got.
And Chris Fritcher?
Again, I'm not against social selling at all. So let me just clarify that. Laura Madison gave me the stink eye just a minute ago. So
the stink eye.
But I think to the question that you raised right at the end, how do dealers cut through all of the other ads and things out there? I think it comes down really entertainment. Having a message that's a value added message, but making it entertaining to cut through all of the junk that is out there, and to make it where someone actually wants to look at it. I saw an ad that a group of people did at a dealership. I can't remember what it was, but it was someone in the dealership that did it. They came up with something very creative. It got everybody in the dealership involved, and it was funny. And they did like a series of them, and I actually watched them just because I thought it was funny. And I'm sure they get stuff off that. So I think the biggest thing is have fun with it, make it entertaining, and that sets you apart from everybody else.
And then last but not least, Patrick and Courtney Hennessy, you guys have just launched an amazing podcast, Be Less Typical. I want you guys to, I thank you guys for stopping by and being with us. I'm excited about partnering together and in the future. But tell us a little bit about your podcast, and then give us your closing statements.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think bottom line is I think it all starts with training, really. I mean, that's where the fear factor comes in, because we don't teach our people the right way to do things, and we kind of let them loose on their own. So, Courtney and I put together a free podcast that's out there on iTunes called Be Less Typical. We are interviewing people that are doing business in a very unique way. Melissa was one that she's in one of our first couple episodes because she does such a wonderful job. We found her on Twitter. But it's all about finding those people that are doing things in a unique way, elevating them into the exposure world, I guess, and letting our people learn from them. And I think from there it can grow and grow and grow. So the website is belesstypical.com, and we're on iTunes under Be Less Typical Car Sales.
Awesome, man. Very and real good people. I suggest you follow them and go and read about them as well. And they're in this business for the right reason. So make sure you check them out. And one last thing, because I really want to revisit this again. Well, two things. I want to ask you guys, and my publisher is going to freaking kill me after this. But September, I'd like to do something in our Dealer Solutions magazine, and it's going to be unique. So just if you guys are all in, I'd like all of you to kind of get with Mikey Okendo. And what I'd like to do is take a 3-page spread. I know that's not a lot, but I'd like to pose a question about social media and have all of you guys give an answer, so to speak, so that in the 3-page section. I've got it in my head. We'll talk about it later. But you guys, is that something you guys would be part of? It goes out to okay, good. We'll send it out to all the dealers in the nation. And awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate it. And hey, Laura, one question before you go. So is it individual or more at a dealer level that you like to see social training?
I'd like to see it both. I mean,
but really, where do you lean? Where do you lean more individual a little? It seems.
Yeah, I mean, I was self-trained, self-taught, so I'm all about the individual empowerment. Eventually, I would love to see our whole industry move to a store saying, all right, here, we're providing this training for you guys to social sell should you choose to.
And Paul, I can take it by your answers that you're really about the dealership buying into this from the get-go, correct?
Well, it's just a way to get real volume. It can get all your people involved versus just a few who get it.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to get you guys back on and talk about that a little bit, and because I think there's something there. So, hey, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us, and really appreciate it. Great show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That was awesome, man. I don't think we really solved it. What I think we realized and came to the realization that, Dave, there's a lot of people on social media. There's a lot of people on social media. And as far as I know, they drive.
Yeah, they all drive. And this is still, even though we've been selling for a while on social media, it's still relatively young. We're still ironing out the kinks, if you will. And there's so much more to discover, I think. And
we sold deals here off of social media.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At our company.
Absolutely. There's no question that
in
we
it.
can do it.
But,
Yeah,
but I do think that there's and we're waiting for our next guest to come on here, and we're going to jump right into the next up. But I do think there are people that have come to work here, and I can use this as an example. That even if they were responsible, maybe 6 months ago, 7 months from now, they're responsible and they prove to be responsible, they're not ready.
Right.
So if they see a veteran person on social media and they try to look at that first,
Yeah.
rather than go, I need to really get this, I need to
Right.
really understand this, I need to focus on getting some business in before I really focus on there, because a lot of times that pie in the sky, or
Yeah.
that looks like an opportunity, when in reality it could be a pitfall in the wrong.
Yeah, I do think there's something to be said for some chronological order as far as how much you dive into social media in the very, very beginning anyway. And I think it might be reasonable for a dealer to have somewhat of a probationary period. I mean, because again,
Well, it can cause somebody to quit.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
somebody has the pie in the sky, think, hey, I'm going to sell cars like crazy, man. If I jump on Facebook, I do exactly what Laura Madison does, whatever. And all of a sudden, it doesn't work for them.
Right, and they give up and they're done.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So moving on.
The next up, baby.
The next up. We're really excited about this next guest. We have Jason Rice from Lot Pop, and he's going to throw down some knowledge on us. And so we'll get right in. Jason, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Awesome.
We can hear you.
I am. And, I was so excited about having you come on because we really haven't addressed this before on the show. And this is something that every dealer really deals with, especially that used car manager. And, I want you to share with dealers what flat pricing is and how to use that effectively at a dealership when you're listing your cars.
Okay, no, I appreciate time. And, how I stumbled across this, to give a little background, I was Viato performance management rep for over 8 years, and I always had really good dealers that try to push me to the next level. And so we had to start digging through inventory and pricing to try to maximize exposures on cars, SRPs, DDPs on these sites, and happened to be on a phone call where a guy had a car priced at $12,200, and we were going to drop it to $11,900 to hopefully capture that $12,000 or less shopper. And what it dawned on me is I said, what if we tried it at $12,000, that flat number? And once we did this was 4 years ago, we tested it on a few cars, and the numbers just spiked like crazy. And it dawned on me and I've been in the retail business since '97 and doing internet since then, and I couldn't believe that this strategy, and I'm sure somebody's tried it. Matter of fact, I know some real estate people have tried it, that it took this long for that to be revealed. And basically what it is, obviously instead of pricing a car at $11,995, you price it at $12,000. And there's so much benefits. And matter of fact, the more dealers that do it, it benefits the dealer's body, and I'll dig into that. But basically the strategy is you take a car from $11,995, you bump it to $12,000. And what happens is people go on sites, and especially since the recession and later, people are on a budget, and they're either on a payment budget or a dollar amount budget. Even though they might be specific on a year, make, model, or a make and model, they're going to look in their budget, and they might say, give me a car no more than $12,000. Well, my $11,995 car fell underneath that. So by pricing it to $12,000, or by not having it priced at $12,000, I was missing that $12,000 to $15,000 shopper. And come to find out, as I studied it more and more, that $11,995 car, or $12,000 car, is more appealing to the 12 and higher shopper than it is the 12 and lower. So by putting it at $12,000 instead of $11,995, I get both searches. I get the 12 and less person, but I also get the 12 and higher. And it didn't dawn on me till months later what happened to DDP. All of a sudden, even though I raised my price maybe $5 or getting that, my searches take off, but we're getting better leads. And how it appeals to the $12,000 and higher buyer is this. When somebody says, hey, you know what, I want a sedan, but I don't want to spend more than $12,000, well, my $11,995 or even my $12,000 car, that's the very top of their budget. And most people might search low to high, or if they find something similar for less money, that's more appealing. But let's say somebody narrows it down $12,000 to $15,000. They flip it low to high.
all of a sudden I'm the lowest priced car in that whole segment, and that's where the VDPs come in. That's where the calls come in, and that's where we're able to get more exposure, but also get more activity on the car because it's more appealing to the 12 and higher than the 12 and lower.
Hey, Jason,
I've seen the same stats in real estate.
Jason, let me ask you a question, man, from a marketing standpoint too. Just thinking this as a marketer, 20 years of marketing, and even outside the auto industry. I just said this a couple weeks ago to someone else. You've all heard these commercials with these products that come on, and they're always $19.95, $19.99. It's like over and over and over and over. There's a condition. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, is there a psychology behind the fact that it just flat stands out? No pun intended.
Well, that's a whole strategy. It's called psychological pricing, $14,995. And here, to back up, because you're a marketer and you can appreciate this, I realize as a car guy, I was never a marketer. I never studied marketing. None of the used car managers or pricing managers I run into studied marketing. So I started digging into marketing, and there's all these strategies out there, buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half off, all these different strategies, and this is called psychological pricing. And it works on your print, radio, TV, your traditional type advertising, your mailers at $19,995. That visually works. The problem is it only works if they see your ad. So again, somebody goes online, 90+% people are going to go online, and when they do 20 to 25 grand, your $19,995 doesn't work anymore. The other challenge with that is I started digging into it deeper too. Dealers started, profit margins are shrinking, right? And so dealers need to protect the profit margin. They price the car aggressively to get somebody in the door, and then they're discounting it again. But why do we $19,995 a car? For that psychological reason, right? To have them round down to 19 grand. So I'm sitting there going, man, we're just setting ourselves up to fail. We're at $19,995 to get the customer to mentally round down to 19. I sit down with my first pencil at $19,995 plus doc, plus taxes, and negative equity. My first pencil's 21 something. And the customer goes, whoa, hold on a second. That's way too much. And I go, well, what are you thinking about? And they say, well, I'm thinking more 19 grand. And you go, well, where are you coming up with that number? And really, can I ask that customer that honestly when I mentally set them up at a higher number anyways to mentally round down to that lower number? And to me, it just really sets up that battle. So I just did a webinar earlier today, and I had that exact question. What about my print and radio? I like consistency, so yeah, I would flat price it on print and radio and TV, but I don't have any problems. If it's $19,999 on the print and I'm 20 grand online, if you can get away with that legally in your state, but because $19,999 does work as long as they see the ad, but most people are shopping online and they might not even see it at all.
Well, I'm just thinking from a standpoint that it just might stand out when you're in any. We just talked about social media here. I mean, you're in a place of noise. Sometimes the lowest price, because you're conditioned to see it over and over again, you don't recognize it. It doesn't stand out. So I think there's something to that. That's an awesome perspective on it, Dave.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Jason. The $19,995 type of thing, that is for visual, psychology. But what, the point is we're listing these cars online, and if someone they're not going to type in $19,995, they're going to type in 20 grand. And now you're hitting both demographics. You're hitting both demographics, so you can't go wrong. Jason, man, I told you before when we spoke the time was going to fly by, and it has. Yeah. But, man, you really brought some value today for dealers, and we want to talk more about the other things you have, so we want you to come back and see us again. But tell dealers how to reach out to you.
Website is lotpop.com. I do have a blog at automotiverevolution.com. I do have weekly used car video tips if you go to increaseturn.com. Also Twitter, at Lot Pop Auto, and Facebook also, Jason Rice, and that's with an E-N for Jason.
Love the name, man. Awesome name, and I'm glad to get a chance to meet you, man. Absolutely love what you're doing. So will you come back? We have some panels coming up next month. I'd love to include you in one of them if you're down for that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it because there's so much more deeper to this. And again, the more dealers that do it, the better. It actually manipulates these sites like AutoTrader and Cars.com for the dealer's benefit.
That's where I was going to go with it. Yeah, awesome. We'll get in touch with you, man. Mm-hmm. I want to get you on a panel we have for next month that I think that your expertise would be perfect for.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. That's awesome stuff, man. Yep, I love that. Hey, listen, you don't want to miss this. Okay, this is the debut. We saved the best for last here, and I say this with all sincerity. We have launched a brand new monthly segment with one of our sponsors, but also one of our friends, somebody who's no stranger to the show, holds the records for the most wins in a debate on the show. I think he does them all by knockout, man. I mean, the guy's pretty much and not in my opinion only. I'm talking about because of course we're unbiased, but I'm talking about from our listeners' opinion, the undisputed heavyweight debate champion of Auto Dealer Live. But listen, he launched a brand new segment that's starting right now, and it's called Ram on Fire. You got it right.
Next up.
The next up is the debut. Come on, Dave. Let's get the debut of Ram on Fire. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions, and here's what's got me fired up today. I speak at a lot of Dealer 20 group meetings. One of the questions I ask of the dealers at every meeting is, do your managers listen to every sales call on call monitoring? A reasonable question, right? The overwhelming majority of the time, here's what I get. I wish my managers listened to sales calls. We probably listen to 20% of them or some other lame answer along those lines. I've actually had general managers tell me that they canceled their call monitoring because they couldn't get their managers to listen to it. Are you kidding me? If you've ever said that, then you're the problem. Let's put that to the Say It Out Loud test. The Say It Out Loud test is a great thing to do when you're thinking about doing something really stupid. Let's say it out loud. I canceled the service that allowed me to listen to real customers that want to buy cars today, talk to my salespeople because my managers didn't think that listening to those calls and quickly resolving missed opportunities to do business was important enough. I think you get my point. There is no activity for your managers to be engaged in that is more productive or more relevant when it comes to selling cars today than listening to sales calls and quickly resolving missed opportunities to do business. How easy is it for a manager to have call monitoring open on their desk throughout the day and listen to just the sales calls as they come in? Let's face it, how many sales calls do you really get daily? 10, 20, maybe 30? How many managers do you have on staff throughout the day? So it's not like they're going to each have to listen to 100 calls. And don't tell me they don't have time either. They have time. I've seen them. As long as your phone numbers are tied to the right departments, it's not a problem. Now, 1 for service and 2 for sales can also help make sure that calls are going into the right call monitoring bucket, if you will. Here's why it's important to do it throughout the day versus letting them pile up until we have a chance. Call monitoring should not be thought of as primarily an accountability tool. More than that, it's a save a deal tool. That customer that's calling you at 10 a.m. is going to be out somewhere buying a car at 4 p.m. If we listen to that call at 8 o'clock tonight, it's too late. Here's another benefit to your managers listening to the calls. When salespeople know that you know, in other words, when they know they're being held accountable, the effort level naturally rises. It all goes hand in hand with training. If you don't train them and then you just hold your people accountable, all you're going to hear is crap and missed opportunities. Train your people and then hold your sales staff and managers accountable. It's simple stuff. One more thing. Outsourcing your call monitoring is a bad idea. Here's why. That 19-year-old kid monitoring your calls 3 time zones away in his mom's basement is not nearly as qualified to make a determination on when a call was maximized versus when it wasn't as your managers. I can listen to a call myself, and even though the customer may have set up an appointment just to get off the phone, know that this lady isn't really coming in. I can gauge whether it's a real appointment or smoke, and then make a determination on whether to call the customer and tighten things up. Furthermore, if you listen to my debate on Auto Dealer Live with Jerry Tebow, he actually volunteered that many of these companies employ agents to monitor dealership calls in third world countries. Are you kidding me right now? He volunteered that like it was a good idea. So you make the decision on whether your highly compensated sales manager is more qualified to listen to and ensure opportunities are maximized, or some kid in Mumbai. Apparently, that's really a thing. When you have a moment, please make sure to go to my website, alanram.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and watch the debate labeled "You Had Me at Hello" to see some of the ridiculousness some dealers buy into. Even if you weren't in the car business, I can assure you it's entertaining. Watch it until the end. Your managers listen to your sales calls every day throughout the day. That has to be a priority if you did in fact come to work to sell cars today. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest.
And we're back.
I think the best tweet was when Matt Koenig said something about Katniss, one of their logo or something. Alan, man, that was awesome. Man on fire. Hey, continue to tweet. We were trending before the show started. Thank you guys. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. As always, we're going to send we got some cool swag on order, actually for Digital Dealer, but it's going to be here early, so we ordered extra. We're going to get everybody stuff out and keep tweeting the top influencers. Get stuff. Hey, next week, really quick, Dave, the next up on Auto Dealer Live, the show.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable show. Keep it or crush it.
Keep it.
Or crush it.
Crush it. or keep it.
Or keep it. Okay, keep it or crush it.
Yeah, man.
Hey, we have like the all-stars of the all-stars lineup for that show on Keep It or Crush It, and how appropriate, because we're going to be talking about the things that we keep, the things we need to do away with.
We have Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone
on the panel.
On the panel.
We have John Marazzi.
John Marazzi
on the panel.
On the panel.
We have Matt Lasco.
Matt Lasco
on the panel.
On the panel.
We have Rick Reichart.
Rick Reichart
on the panel.
On the panel.
We have Tony Remus.
Tony Remus
on the panel.
On the panel.
Herb Prannell.
Herb Prannell
on the panel.
On the panel.
We're working on. I'm going to throw this name out there because you know what? I'm locking it down.
Here we go. This is huge.
Billy Facillo.
On the panel.
Number one Kia store in the world, baby. It's huge.
He may be on the panel.
90% there.
That'd be
locking
huge.
it down. Locked it down. Got to lock it down tomorrow.
Come on.
Come on, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Come on.
And also Randall Reed.
Randall Reed. Uh-oh.
Locking it down tomorrow.
Randall.
You kidding me? Dude,
That
literally
is crazy,
combine those together and they're worth more than Donald Trump.
Yeah, like one. That's true.
Come on.
You know, like one of those guests would absolutely blow a show up.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about having all of them on the show.
It's going to be the whole show, by the way, because you can't have that many personalities and content together and not have them overtake the show. You don't want to miss Keep It or Crush It next week on Auto Dealer Live. That's the next up.
The next up.
Hey, tweet us and let us know what you like. If you liked Ram on Fire. If you like the show, if you have some ideas for some future shows, we'd love to hear.
How about they tweet out what we keep or crush next week? Maybe some ideas there. What we bring to that panel.
Keep or crush what?
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.